Joaquin Fahim Kogamundra.
The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim is the most famous and the best medieval game ever created. Sorry, Dark Souls. But you already knew that. The PS4 remastered version of Skyrim looks great. There is a monstrous difference from the 360 version. You know, it's on PC if you get that for free. I'm not going to talk about that. This is a console review, alright? You want to talk about the PC? Go somewhere else. It looks very crisp, very detailed, very high resolution. There's some very good textures. Just the look of the engine too just gives it a very gritty, very dense look. The game world of Skyrim is one of the best ever created. The verticality and variety of it is awesome. There's snow, there's mountains, there's caves, there's forests, there's plains, there's castles. The game is downright gorgeous, and on PS4 the colors are very vibrant and they pop very well. Two new big graphical enhancements they added were depth of field, which kind of blurs the background and like focuses on the person. I don't really think it added that much. It kind of just hurt my eyes. I'd rather everything just look very, very clean and defined, and it does just kind of make it look like it stutters back and forth between what's in focus. But you can turn it off if you don't like it, so that's great. The other nice thing is like the new dynamic range of lighting, or whatever they want to call it. I've heard the term God rays, but like it looks like the sun is coming down, like hitting clouds along the way and like warming the air before it hits the ground. The color of the sun and the sky is phenomenal. The art style of Skyrim is one of the best of all time. The weapons look great, the armor looks great. It's not the realistic medieval look that The Witcher goes for, it's a very Nordic, very mythic look, and it's very, very cool. Skyrim has the best musical score in gaming history. Wind Waker is the only thing that could maybe give it a run for its money, but I'm leaning towards Skyrim right now.
Damn you! Damn you! I'll have your lizard head on a spike! Witness me!
Skyrim did not jump out of last gen untouched though. As you can see a lot of times in the distance, you'll see that repeating kind of Minecraft texture square thing. A lot of the environment itself has like jagged edges or straight lines in the ground. Unfortunately, the game does run in 30 FPS, which is infuriating, but it is a very smooth 30 FPS. It's not nearly as stuttery as it is in Fallout 4. And the animations also look very stiff and awkward. It takes people a long time to stand up. When you're moving left and right in combat, it looks really floaty. The people are shaped realistically like people, but the texture of them, they don't look like people. They look like they're made of wood. And there is no facial animations whatsoever. The combat in Skyrim is also a ton of fun. People hate on the combat a lot, and I don't get it. There is a light attack. There is a block that blocks light attacks. There is a power attack that gets through blocks. There is a bash that can stop people mid-power attack. Just those four things really add plenty of depth, plenty of variety, plenty of tactical thinking to combat. You add the dual-wielding magic to that, you add potions, you add poisons, you add the shouts, and you have one extraordinarily diverse combat system.
Taste the power of 4, ye slaves of the undead!
One downside is the trajectory of the arrows. Like, you'd think they'd go up a little and come down or just fly straight, but they don't. The reticle, you have to kind of aim it a little below and then it goes on an arc. So if you shoot straight, the arrow will arc up and then come down. So that makes shooting and leading people off very, very difficult because sometimes the arrow disappears when you're far away and you don't even know where it landed. So bow shooting is not the greatest, but it's nice to have it as an option. And if you do it at close range, it's easy enough to do. The character customization is awesome. You can be a hot girl. You can be an average Joe. You can be this bearded orc war chieftain. You can be this badass cool Viking guy.
Okay, now tell me, do I look awesome or do I look awesome?
You can be a cat person, you can be a member of the famous hacking group Lizard Squad, or if you're messed up in the head, you can play as one of them gay-ass looking elves. I can't believe they have the right to vote, and I can't believe they're allowed in the same cities as us Nords. That's bullshit. Crafting is great. You can make potions, you can make poisons, you can enchant weapons, you can rename weapons. The ingredients for crafting weapons and armor are relatively scaled back, and it's very easy to pick up. I spent a lot of time upgrading the blacksmith perk, and every time you come back to the town, you sell all your stuff, and you upgrade all your weapons a little bit further.
Isn't it obvious? Why, the wonderful weather and hospitable people, of course. Not to mention my great fondness for dragons and petty political power struggles. But without a doubt, the most compelling feature of this frozen wasteland is the volley of inane questions leveled at me on a regular basis.
The leveling system in Skyrim is phenomenal. You don't have to pick a class. Whatever you want to do the most, you do it, and then that stat will level up, and then you can pick more perks in that stat. It's still, to this day, the best leveling system I've seen in a game. The sheer amount of content in Skyrim is ridiculous. Skyrim has probably the best dollar-to-hour ratio I can find. This is a 200-hour plus game right here. You have the main story itself, which is okay. You know, it's cool to see Parthenos. It's cool. At least do the first few steps of the main story so that you can get introduced to the world and unlock all the basic mechanics of it. There's the big Skyrim Civil War thing between the Stormcloaks and the Imperials. There's the Daedra quest. That is where I think the storytelling of the game shines. The Daedra quests are awesome. There's individual faction quest lines for all the companions of the College of Winterhold, Thieves Guild, the Dark Brotherhood, all these different groups that you can join and ascend to the top of each one. You get all the DLC with this package. It gives you Dragonborn and Dawnguard, both of which have great I think the main quest lines in Dragonborn and Dawnguard are cooler than the Skyrim-based storyline. And they both add entirely new open world sections. They both add new weapons. They both add new spells and stuff. The game is technically designed to go on forever, where you'll keep getting quests if you ask people, and not all of them are well-written stories. Some of them are, hey man, can you go get my ancestral sword that I left in this cave? Okay, thanks. Hey man, can you go get my ancestral sword that I left on that mountain? Okay, thanks. Hey man, can you go back and get my ancestral sword that was stolen from those bandits? Okay, thanks. But that is a moot point if ever there was one, because without that, you still have a ridiculously high amount of content. It is all very creative content. It is all fully voiced and acted content. And this is not a shitty Ubisoft game where they just throw meaningless icons everywhere. The two biggest gripes I have about the essential gameplay loop in Skyrim is lockpicking. I don't like lockpicking. I never have. I don't like it. I think it's boring. And the encumbrance factor. Now, the more you level up your stamina, the more you can level up encumbrance, which is better than it was in Fallout 4, where it does get capped off at like plus 50. So as long as you keep upgrading your stamina, you can keep upgrading your encumbrance. The one big thing they added with the PS4 version is mods. Now you can play mods on console. Xbox has had mods for a while now, but PS4 is just now getting them. Now the game's still relatively new, so there aren't that many mods, and it seems like a lot of them repeat in different categories if you go to the mod store page. And also, they said the mods are like, they don't allow external assets, they don't allow copyright. I mean, I don't know much about mods, I don't really know what that means, but essentially the result is shitty mods on PS4. The ones that I did download didn't work and kind of broke my sprint buttons, so I am perfectly content to leave the mods to you PC people. I think Skyrim is plenty worth it just on its own. Skyrim is a fantastic game, is one of the best of last generation. Nobody's arguing that. It's one of the best games ever made. The thing is it worth $60 to repurchase on PS4? That is a full price tag for a 5-year-old game. It has been remastered, and you do get all the DLC, but that does still seem a little steep to me. If you've never played the game before, first of all, where have you been? And second of all, even at $60, you will make your money back in terms of gameplay exponentially. Me personally, I don't like replaying open world RPGs. I make one character and I want to collect everything and upgrade them all the way. I feel like this one big level of progress, and I feel like starting a new character I feel like I lost everything. I feel like I deleted my whole save, and this isn't RPGs aren't the kind of games that I replay. Now, I'm not sure how they would do that, but it would have been really nice if you could port over your 360 save to PS4, but unfortunately you can't, and for me, that's kind of the deal breaker. And at the end of the day, it's like Inception, it's like, Skyrim, we had our time. Don't you remember? Played you for like 300 hours on Xbox 360. It's time to move on. The graphics are easily within today's standards. The game itself is phenomenal. It's just whether or not you want to go back. You know, when all the best games on PS4 are remastered versions of last gen's games, that's kind of a problem. Aside from a few ticks about its engine, Skyrim holds up very, very well, and it's got a glowing recommendation from me. Boom, 1 month time jump. I just wanted to add some discussion on the end of this review because after editing it, I just watched how objectively I just kind of factually punched out facts. Then I realized, like, this is Skyrim. I gotta give it more than that. I mean, I'm doing a smaller review because if I don't, it'll never get done, and I'm not putting it off. I'm not doing a first impressions to wait till later. So initially, I stamped a 9.5 on this game because I wanted to convey the point that it's really damn good without having to fully commit to a 10. But why? Why am I so afraid to give it? I'll tell you exactly why I'm so afraid to give it 10, because I'm known for being critical and not overrating anything. And if I give a 10 to a game that doesn't deserve that, I totally compromise, like, my entire integrity as a channel. But reviews are supposed to call out all the bad shit, and they're supposed to praise quality when it occurs. But 10 doesn't mean perfect. Everybody knows that. No one ever claimed it did. You know, the horses in Skyrim are stupid. You know, it's a buggy game. You know, there's little problems here and there like that, but none of those are remotely bad enough to bring down the score at all. Not every game has to do everything. I'm not gonna give Skyrim shit for not having well thought out puzzles. I'm not gonna give Skyrim shit for not having a multiplayer. The only thing I'd even remotely consider is the low frame rate, the 30 FPS. But the way I'm gonna kind of get myself around that is, one, outside of that, the game still looks amazing, and two, this isn't a PS4 review. This is a remastered update and also kind of a callback review. I'm also giving Skyrim its due for when it first came out, so this is like, I'm kind of reviewing it on 360, so back then it would not have, frame rate was not nearly as important as it is now, and it would not have been as big a deal. And the fact that you can play the game in third person, the fact that I usually play the game in third person because I want to look at my character, I'm letting it slide. Skyrim's still one of the best games I've ever played. Skyrim is still the standard for a lot of things, and in 5 years hasn't been beaten. What Skyrim does offer, it does well, and that is a gigantic medieval open world. Beautiful graphics, tons of hours of creative content, fun gameplay. It satisfies that, like, collecting loot, upgrading, customization itch. The best soundtrack in gaming, and a sense of atmosphere that is really unmatched. You know, Skyrim doesn't have the best storytelling out there, but it has a lot of the best things out there. You know, in some way conveys atmosphere, conveys story. Whether it be some games do it with music, some games do it with acting, some games do it with mocap and well-directed cutscenes, some games do it with writing and character. There's a lot of aspects to the word story. It's not just plot. And I think Skyrim more than fulfills that requirement in the Daedric quests alone. And at the end of the day, I love this game, and if I gave it anything less, I'd just kind of be wimping out. The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim may have a 10 out of 10. You know what? That felt good. That felt good.
What's this? The king of the underworld himself has risen to challenge me!
Hey, watch it.
What did you say?
What are you looking at? I'm not afraid of you.
Foolish girl! I challenge ye to mortal combat to the death!
Which is redundant, but
So is your existence!